Hey everybody, it's Catie Harris, owner and CEO of NursePreneurs, and we are talking about NOLA again today, and we're doing another feature. This has taken a long time because there's so many features in NOLA, and today we're talking about email marketing. So that is a big one. If you're not email marketing your clients, then you're missing out on a huge opportunity. So that's definitely something that you want to do. Very powerful. So in our demo account here, on the left-hand side, you can see we're down at marketing, and we came up here, and of course, across the top board, you can see there's lots and lots of features, but we're in email. We've done social planners. There's still all those other things that we still need to talk about. So we got a couple more months of content to do here, but today we're going to talk about emails. So you have an email domain set up in NOLA, which is the base is high level, and your email service provider is typically either Lead Connector, which is the default, or you use something like Mailgun. So once that is set up, and that's done inside, when we set you up, we do this for you. So there's an email service. This is in the back end service, email services. We're using the Mailgun, but you can use pretty much any service here. And Lead Connector has its own default service that you can use as well. But we set this up for you when you join NOLA and you work with us. And then once all of that's set up, then you have the ability to use the email services. So, all right, let's go back to email. And in that first tab, it's statistics, if you want to go there real fast. So we can just take a look at that. And this will just show you how many were delivered, how many were opened, how many clicked, and how many were ordered. And these are really important statistics to watch. And this is something you can obviously change the date, the campaigns up at the top. So if you want to see for the last 30 days, the last 3 years, for all campaigns, specific campaigns, to see how they're doing, you can do that. This is sample data. This is just showing what you can do, because this is a demo account and we don't send emails from the demo account. So this is all just demo stuff. But if you could go right back up for a second. So that delivered is, how many emails obviously were delivered. What is the color coding, Ira?
Sorry, I'm on mute. So the color coding here is blue for the email campaign. So if there's a workflow campaign, that's purple. And then for this color, this is bulk action campaign. So they can easily identify here.
Okay, so that's for all campaigns. If we chose one campaign specifically.
Yes. If they would like one campaign only, so they can select and then they will be able to see.
No, I mean up at the top, instead of all campaigns, just pick.
You can pick your email campaigns, and then they will be able to see the data for email campaign only, while workflow campaigns, so if they're running campaigns via workflow, you can also filter here by date. So for instance, the data or the statistics for the month of May.
Is that your cat?
Sorry for my cat.
So, okay, and then scroll down. So this is really, really important. So you want to know that your emails are getting delivered first and foremost. That's really important. And if they're getting delivered, how many people are opening them? So general rule of thumb is if 20% or more are opening your emails, you're doing pretty good. That's a really good statistic. If you're under 20%, people aren't opening your emails, then there's a problem. And the problem has to do with either the headline, or maybe they, are not interested in your business or whatever it is that you're sending out. So those are generally the reasons. And you know that every day when you open your email, there's a lot that just goes straight to trash, right? those don't get opened at all. So you want to be able to write emails that not only get delivered, that's step one, is to make sure they get in the inbox. And you can see not all of those emails get delivered. Some of them bounced, some 185 people unsubscribed. There were 39 spam complaints, and you're going to have that. You obviously want those numbers to be relatively small. Otherwise, that can be hugely problematic. And you can get your email accounts banned. You can get you get relegated to spam folders and that kind of stuff. So the higher your open rate, the less bounce, the less spam complaints you get, the better it is for you. So let's see. And then scroll down. That open rate, so you can change the graph from open rate over time. You can see unsubscribed. The click-through rate, if you have any links inside of your email, which you should, you want to direct people and tell them what to do, then that will tell you your click-through rate. Now, click-through rate is generally going to be about 1 to 2%. So when you're thinking about how you're going to do sales through email, the more people you have on your list, statistically, the more likely you are to make money. Because if you have, this is sample data, so they're being overly generous with themselves with a 12% click-through rate. But let's say you have 80,000 is a lot of people on a list. Let's say 8,000, right? So if you have 8,000 people on a list and 40% open that email, that means 3,200 people open that email. And if you have a click-through rate of, let's say 2%, then you have 64 people that are clicking all the way through. And that's 64 opportunities to sell whatever it is that you're selling. So that becomes really, really important. And you do want to follow these numbers, because if you have like a 0.01% click-through rate, again, you're not offering things that people are interested in. So they went to the trouble to open the email. And if there's nothing to click on, that's a problem. But two, if there is something to click on and they didn't click it, one, either the link is broken, or two, they didn't like, it wasn't compelling enough. It wasn't interesting or compelling enough for them to click through, right? And doesn't take that much effort to click a button, but there was no interest to move forward. And then they come out and you've lost that sale essentially. So those are things that you want to keep an eye on, and you need to test and practice with that. And that all comes down to copywriting and being able to write good copy. And we'll show you some ways that you can do that. So and scroll down, and then you can see your top performing emails. And this is important too, because if your flash sale campaign had a really high open rate and click-through rate, but your the upcoming event campaign had a low open rate, click rate, you might want to double down on things that people are opening and really enjoying. So that's really important to follow. And then what's the most recent? And then that just shows you your most recent emails and how they're performing. And generally, you just want to keep an eye on it and make sure that there's not like a massive dip, or, if like 1% of people opened it when normally 30 to 40%, that becomes important. And these numbers also become really important when you're pitching your business, especially if you want to sell your business. And you should always run your business like you want to sell your business. So if you were to sell your business, one of the first things that people are going to ask you is, how big is the email list and how responsive is it? And these are the numbers that you need to know, right? Because, buying a business, I had one nurse come and she wanted to sell her business. She had a med spa and she's like, I want to sell it. I've had it for 2 years and, it's not really what I want to do. And she's like, I'd like to sell it for $125,000. And I was like, okay, but how many clients do you have? Like, how many people are in an email list? How many people open your emails? How many monthly recurring revenue do you get from these clients? And she didn't have any of these answers. So I was, after talking to her for a bit, I'm like, well, maybe somebody will give you 5,000 for this, but you don't have any clientele. You don't have a regular email list, and that's what people are buying. They're buying your customers, right? They're not buying the privilege to pay your rent. There is some value of buying something that's already up and running, so you don't have to do anything. But the real money is in these emails and the ability to have an audience that is paying attention to you. So if you have open rates of 30-40%, that's a huge selling opportunity. And it's something that you need to double down on. So how are we going to do that? We're going to do that through sending emails. We got to send emails. How often do you send emails? Well, you should send an email a week. You could send an email every day. You could send an email twice a day if you want it. But you'd have to have something really important to say to send it twice a day, because people will be like, oh my God, please stop sending me emails. So how are we going to do this, and how are we going to create the emails that people want to see? So there's 2 more tabs here. So let's go to templates first. You can create templates. A lot of these are already built out there for you. So we have templates for holiday emails, right? So you could send out Happy New Year, Happy Labor Day, and they're all kind of done. You can change out the images on these. You can change out the colors. There's lots of custom values that we set up for you when you join NOLA. So that all of this will have your information on it. And this way you don't have to remember to send out emails during the holidays. They just go out automatically. You just have to update when they get sent out, that's all. And there's the preview template. This would be the email that they would get, and from our team and that would be your location name. Enjoy your day off, our team's got your back. Or if you wanted to put other things like, hey, we're actually open on 4th of July, come in and see us and I don't know, get hydrated or get a facial while everybody else, is closed. So that could be your email message, and you can certainly adjust this and edit it any way you see fit. Yeah, so under new, there's different templates in here. So there's email marketing templates. You can start with a blank one. You can import emails, but they have these templates that are already done for you. I generally, you can use any one of these. You can edit, and they're certainly fancy looking. But I honestly prefer just to do a text-based email, because it looks more kind of natural and less salesy. So if there is a reason to, if there's a reason to send something really kind of salesy looking, then these templates are great. Like sometimes if you want to do like a product show or something like that, you want something a little bit more fancy than just a text-based email, then I would definitely use these. Otherwise, just using a text-based email has better deliverability, because a lot of times other people's email service providers will see your email as promotion, and then it puts it in promotion tab, which is really annoying because not everybody sees that. I had one client and all my emails were going to her promotion tab, and she looked there and she's like, oh, there's all those emails you sent me. I'm like, yeah, I've been sending a lot of emails. So that is definitely a concern with emails. All right, so those are the templates. So if you want to send an email, how are we going to do this? So up here, there's campaigns, and under campaigns, there's email campaigns, workflow campaigns, and bulk action campaigns. Do you want to talk about the difference of those, Ira?
Okay, so email campaigns are directly sending the email here under the email marketing, while workflow campaigns is, for instance, they created a workflow and then they inserted the email templates there. So that's how the workflow campaigns will be available here. While for the bulk action, so bulk action is when you're sending email using or working under contacts here. Under contacts, when they selected here the list of the contacts that they would like to send, there's an email icon here where they, once they click on that, they just need to select templates, and then once they scheduled and then fill out the information here like the from name, from email, the subject. For instance, let's select here the newsletter template. So once they selected the template, they just need to select or input the information, the from name, email, and then the subject. And then once they click on send email, so the information will be under the bulk action. So that's how the bulk information under the marketing works here. Okay, so that's the difference between the three.
Cool. All right, so let's go to email campaigns. And so let's say you want to send just a random email out to your list. So what you would do is just start with, your campaign. So let's create a campaign.
So when they create a campaign, so they can select from the template. So if they have already a templates that they are using, for instance, for newsletter, so they can use that as a template, and then they can just easily modify the content based on the information for that month. So this is the sample for June newsletter. So they have the content. So if they don't want the image or they would like to change the image, they can select the image, and then there's edit button here. So if they would like to change the content, so they may just delete and then add the new content. And then here, the click rate, the one that Katie discussed earlier. So that's why we're adding here call to action buttons like book an appointment, like book now button here.
I like this template. I haven't seen this, or I didn't notice it. And I'm going to put this one in, can we put this one in my Philly Wellness?
Yeah, sure. I just created it earlier so we can show an example.
I was going to say, I like this a lot.
So yeah, so they can change the background color. So it will depend on their brand colors. So they can just scroll here. So all of the edits can be done on this left side. So they will be able to find elements like they can add image. They can add image, for instance, after this. They can add buttons. They can add logo just like this. Just insert the element, and then if they would like to change the color, so they can just select on the layout and then scroll here, and then they will be able to find here the background setting where they can just click on add and then insert here the color code.
Yeah, or your brand colors are already set up there too. So those are all our brand colors. So just to make it easier so that you don't have to run around looking for hex code numbers and stuff. So, and to be honest, guys, there's lots and lots of stuff that you could do, but just to get started, keep it simple. If you want to have one image, you don't need to have 16 images. We don't need to color the background all the time. Getting an email out is better than working on an email for 6 months, right? And then it's like it is no longer migraine and headache awareness month. It's the following year and we're still working on this email. So just get this stuff done. This template is quite easy. It just, you can fill out these things and you send out a June newsletter like once a month. But if you want to do just a generic email, let's go back and do, something from scratch. So if we're just going to create something from scratch, we're going to do a blank template, and we'll do, just the design editor. This is just drag and drop unless you're tech savvy. If you're tech savvy, then by all means go to the HTML. But here, we're just going to add, what I would do here is add in, a header, what the name of my email is. And so I literally just wrote email. So the heading was, let's say testosterone and mitochondria.
That will be the topic. Or would you like me to just use the
Yeah, that's fine.
content, but
Perfect.
there will be no images?
Yeah, that's fine. And then, we're going to add in a block.
We
I
can.
like big text because I can't
Okay.
read anything.
Okay.
There we go.
And then to add block, so just scroll here and then there's layout here.
Yeah, so there's text and image, there's just text, there's, if you want to have a 2x2, 3 columns, 4 columns, whatever the case may be, like that gets a little mind boggling. So, just the one column is fine. And then from there, we're going to drop in text. And, the heading can just be new year, oh, there we go. So I was just putting this stuff in here now. And the other thing that you can do is if you are collecting names, you can put a custom value of first name at the top. So if you put in, and she's going, so show them what she's doing is putting in the first name custom value. So that up at the top right there that she's at, she's clicking on that. And then if you have the first name of the client, and I usually don't put hi, Ira, because if there's no name associated with the account, then it'll say hi and then blank space. So if you just have contact first name, it'll say, if it's sending to Jane, then it'll say Jane, June is migraine and headache awareness month, or Bill, June is migraine and headache awareness month. So, and that way it's just a little bit more personalized. You don't have to do that because a lot of people don't give you their first name when they sign up for emails, but that is something that you can do. And then you can just you can keep adding stuff to the email, basically. Now, the one thing that you do want to make sure, and Ira, you can tell us, is people have to be able to unsubscribe from your emails. And we have set up an unsubscribe funnel inside of your NOLA account. So when you get to the bottom of this and you do your signature and sign off, you do want to put
Let's add footer. Automatically, once they add the footer here, then the add subscribe menu will be available. And then automatically, there's also a custom value for that. So once their client click on this link, automatically they will be unsubscribed um, with the email or the newsletter campaigns.
right. So that's really important because it's a requirement with email service providers to the people have to have the ability to unsubscribe from your emails. Otherwise, what ends up happening is you will get those spam complaints, or people will report your emails, especially if they're really irritated that day and they want to unsubscribe and they can't. So if you see unsubscribes going, or spam complaints going up, make sure to double check and make that your emails have unsubscribe from them, so you don't tick off too many people. All right, and so Ira's just putting a button there, and you can say book now, and then you put in the URL where they go. You can change the color. And it's pretty easy. And then from there, you just want to save your work. Make sure you don't back out of this or anything without saving, because you'll lose everything, and just title your campaign name. I found that if you save and send it, you can't go back and rename it, which is kind of annoying. Because I have a lot of like June 4th newsletter clone, because I forgot to call it July newsletter. But so make sure you edit the name, and then you're going to go to send schedule. And here you have a couple of options. You can preview it. It's giving you a spam score. If you had stuff like make money now, right, your spam score would go into the red most likely. So you have 4 options. You can send now, you can schedule, you can batch schedule, or you can do an RSS schedule, which I don't even know what that is. So the send now is going to do what it says. It's just going to send it right now. Can you go to the just send now? So for send now, you're going to put your email, your business email, and that's just going to, you just have to populate that in. And then you can say your name, the business name, and then your subject line. And your subject line, this is worth putting some effort into because this is going to determine whether or not somebody is going to open your email. So I would actually put more effort into the subject line than the actual email. So what is going to get them to open? June newsletter is not very compelling, right? And this is where you can use ChatGPT to really help you come up with some ideas of what you can put that would be, something that your audience would want to open and read. So that would be really important. You can put the preview text. So preview text is, it can be, the preview text is the first line of the email and that they can read. And that also is a huge determinant of whether they're going to open it or not. Because I know I've had people have sent me emails and I read the first line without opening it, and that determines whether I continue to open it. So make sure that the preview text, if you use it, is something, it can amplify the subject line. So if you say something curious or compelling in the subject line, that preview text can be very powerful to back it up because you don't have a whole lot of words that you can use here. Otherwise, the preview is going to just be first name, and that's not very interesting. So now who are you going to send this to? You can choose the contacts that you want to send it to. You can send it to a smart list, which is there you would choose all contacts basically, or you could select specific ones. You can send to a smart list. So smart list will show you in a couple minutes if you have people that are tagged. Let's say you have people that are interested in IV hydration, or you want to anybody who's subscribed to the newsletter. If you have them tagged, you can send just to those people. What's a pre-built segment? Oh, okay. So if you want, let's say you want to send an email only to people who have engaged with your system in the last 7 days, the last 30 days, the last 60 days, or people that have disengaged. Maybe you're sending out something like, hey, come on back and we'll give you $50 off an IV or something. And then you can also build segments. But, I've never actually used any of these other than just choose contacts because it's just easiest. So I choose contacts and select all. And if you just hit all contacts, it'll automatically select all. And then down below is just tracking stuff. So if you want to discover which links were clicked, how many times they were clicked, and who did the clicking, then you would toggle that on. You can do UTM tracking, which that is definitely getting pretty deep into the email world. You don't need to do this. The tags and stuff, all of this stuff gets really complicated and advanced. So none of this stuff is necessary to do to send an email. I would say just start getting your emails out, and then you can come back and check out this stuff. But just know that it's here and it's available, and that this is a very dynamic system that you can do a lot of things with. So that's it. And then you would just review and send. And then what's the subject line?
Just additional feature here. This is additional feature that was added in the system. So there's resend email to unopened. So for instance, they are running like promotions, and then the their client did not yet open the email. So there's an option here now to resend the email to the leads who did not yet open the promotion or the email. For instance, if they did not open within 2 hours, then automatically the email will be resent. If they would like to change the subject or have the same subject line, they can just insert the subject here. And additional information here, so if they notice here, this is the preview, while at the bottom they will be able to find here required field. So if there's any information, for instance, missing on the campaign that they're going to send, they will be able to find here. So as they will see when they click on the drop down, subject is missing, resend duration is invalid, and the subject is invalid. So they just need to fix that first, and then they can proceed on sending the campaign once they're no longer seeing this notification here.
Awesome. All right. And then, for next month, what you can do is just clone this email and then change out, it's a sports injury awareness month or whatever the case may be. And then you can just add. So once it populates, there's a clone feature and you can do that. And you can move them to folders and keep things organized. Yep, there you go. And just remember to change the title because once you send it, you can't change the title, which is really annoying. Nobody sees that but you, but for my own purposes, like it's just kind of like, ugh. So July, yeah. You can edit it as long as it's in draft, but as soon as it sends, you can't edit the name of the campaign anymore.
And also the campaign itself, for instance, they would like to change like the footer once it is scheduled or currently being sent. They can no longer change the content unless they will cancel the scheduled, or they will cancel the campaign itself, and then they can just clone it and then proceed on modifying the content. So it's very
Awesome.
important before sending that everything is set, and they also tested it out before sending to their clients.
All right. And then the only other place that you would need to go for managing newsletters would be under contacts. So if you go to contacts in the left hand, there's the smart list at the top. And the smart list, you can manage smart list and you can create smart list based on whatever you want, basically.
Okay, so on how to create smart list, so just click on more filter here and then select the filter that they would like to create. For instance, they would like to create smart list for those who subscribe to their newsletter. So if there's a tag for that, for instance, newsletter or subscribe to newsletter, they can just click on apply, and total total of contacts with that specific tag will only show up here. And then here at the bottom, there's save as smart list. So they can just insert here newsletter or any name that they would like to use for easily reference, and that's it. The smart list is now created here, and then they can see or manage the smart list here.
Right. And now you can just email people on that specific smart list. So if you have a business that does multiple different things, and some people want hormone therapy, and some people want peptides, and some people want IV hydration, if you want to keep them separate for whatever reason, you can create different types of smart list. And you can always add a tag from this section here. If you just grab somebody's name, you can add a tag. Right. And so there's add tags, and you can just put IV hydration or something. Yeah, add tag. And you can add a new tag. So you just start typing it in. So IV hydration is the new tag. And you add that. And now that person is going to have IV hydration. There it is.
Let me quickly refresh.
So if you wanted to create a smart list that is just for IV hydration, you could create that.
So here's the tab now.
Yep. So can you create the smart list with just IV hydration?
Okay, so let's click on filter again, and then the tag is IV hydration. And then click on apply, and then save as smart list.
And there's IV hydration clinic clients, and there it is. So they're in newsletter, they're also in IV hydration. So if you wanted to send just something to your IV hydration clients, you could absolutely do that if they're tagged properly. And the tagging can be done automatically if they're in a certain calendar, or all kinds of different ways to do that. And that's something we can absolutely help you with. The hardest part about all of this is just because there's so many things that you could do, is focusing on the one thing that you do want to do. So what's really, really important to you? There's a way to do it, I promise you, and we can absolutely help you with that type of stuff. But it's important to know kind of like what is the most important thing to get done first and foremost, because again, there's so many things that could be done that it's mind-boggling and overwhelming. And that's where I find even myself that I just start to shut down, because I'm like, oh my God, there's so many things that I could do that I don't know what to do. So let's start with one thing at a time. Like if you just want to set up an email newsletter and have it go out every month, well, let's set up that newsletter. Like, who do we want to get this newsletter? Do we want everybody to get this newsletter? And okay, fine, then you don't need to tag. If you only want certain segments of your email list to get it, then that's something that we can set up. So hope this helps. If you guys don't have NOLA, be sure to go to nursepreneurs.com/NOLA by NursePreneurs and sign up, because this is a really amazing, powerful system, and it will change the way that you do business. So, all right. Anything else, Ira? Anything else we didn't cover with newsletters?
I think everything has been shared to them, but in case they need any assistance or help, they can just, if they have NOLA system, we have a support ticket that they can use, or they can directly send us a message on the website if they would like to avail the NOLA system.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, good chatting with you about this, and look forward to working with you.